So today we're going to be installing a Grasscloth in the front entryway flare. Grasscloth is different than most wallpapers because it is a natural material, and a lot of times the seams are visible, and it's just the nature of the material. It does require some care in that you have to keep it nice and clean. You can't get adhesive on it, and you just have to be very careful when handling the paper from the table, pasting, and going to the wall. And with the Grasscloth, because of the nature of it, you do have to reverse them. Unless it specifically says not to, you always hang one cut in one direction and the next one in another. Roll it. And again, with Grasscloth, always roll off the paper and never pull it back. You cannot get any adhesive on this paper. And fold it over. Let that sit for a few minutes, at least 5 minutes. So this one only expanded about 1/8 of an inch. So we'll take that 36 1/16 up to the wall. I usually like to start coming off of a door or an area that's kind of not as noticeable. So this is where we'll start the layout. Since the grass is 36 inches wide, this might work out really nicely because 36 is right here. So maybe to come out of the corner, that'll eliminate a seam on this wall. I might do that. 36 is there. But you see how 36 now is past the window? That's not ideal. So what I may do is take this full piece, shrink it down a bit on that end so this seam comes in. I'd like to have at least a 36-inch full over the window. I think visually that'll look great. And then I could take this piece, bring that right into the corner. So right now we don't have any seams on these walls, just the way this room is laid out so far. So that's 28 3/4 right there. So this one, not so good. 36 inches falls right there. So what I would probably do is I might use the piece of that one over there, bring it out here so that I can have a full piece that comes around the window. These are the things that you have to lay out with the grass because you want to try and maintain the best possible width of the seams. So I've laid out this room to where I want the seams to be. Some of the panels I had to shrink a little bit only to make it more appealing. Like this panel right here, the first one out, I'm going to be coming out of the corner and I'll strike a level line there to make sure we're going that way straight. But this will be my first one. My second piece here, as I labeled it, I put a mark up here on the wall. That'll be the width. I'm actually going to reduce this piece because I want a full one over the window so you can see where the marks will be. This piece here, again, I'm going to reduce it. No seam on the wall. But I'm going to utilize the other piece of this one that I had trimmed to come out 10 inches. So I'll have a seam here, go into the corner. This one will come around, it'll wrap the corner and go right above this little closet. So this one here, coming into the corner, I'll trim it, it'll go into the corner, and then it'll come out to here. That'll be the width of that piece. Here I'm going to maintain the full 36 inch above the door, and I'm centering it. So that'll be nice, at least appealing seam-wise. This seam here, I'm going to trim it in the corner on my table, hang it. This one I do reduce just a little bit, but you'll never notice it. This seam here, I'll strike a level line, hang it out to here. Then over the door, again, I did balance it, so the seam will be here and the seam here. This is the center of the door. This seam here, I'll strike a level line, hang this. This will be the seam for this 36-inch piece. As I come into this corner, this piece will get trimmed on the table. I'll hang it right to the corner, and the next piece I'll hang here, and that'll be the seam for it here. Over the door, we're going to reduce them because 2 sheets, so they're not, one isn't tiny, they're both going to be about the same width. And it'll be much more appealing to do that than to have a full 36 inch and then maybe one that's 5. So we'll shrink the 2 over the door. And we'll be going over to the table and starting to cut that down. So I'm measuring out 28 inches from my seam side or over the window side. Okay. And I'm going to put a little arrow on this side because this is the excess one and which way it should be. Let me pull at this straight edge. My zinc plate this way, so I don't destroy my table. I'm just going to trim this right off. Alright, I'm going over to my level line that I struck before. Bring it down. You can see how the caution tape is protecting the ceiling. What I'll do is I'm going to take my scissor and go to, just to make that little relief cut, I'll let the bottom open up. Always trying to keep my hands clean, because again, with this, you don't want to get anything on it. Now over here they have a little bit of a different kind of a craftsman style molding. So we have to do a relief cut there, push it in, and bring it down. Then I'm going to trim off the top. I'll use my scissor because I don't like to pull that just in case it didn't really cut through, which it didn't. So you just want to use your scissor just to make sure that's trimmed well. Then I go ahead and pull out this and the caution tape underneath that protected the ceiling. Oh, look at that dye coming off. By the end of the day, it's going to be dark. So let's just go ahead and trim this piece totally. I'll use my scissor again just to trim at that corner. You don't want to pull it. You don't want to pull any threads. This one they didn't do a great job at caulking, so I kind of stick the paper down in there. And I'll use my scissor rather than pull it or cut it. Tuck it down. Then I use this to protect the paper when I'm cleaning off the adhesive off the top rail. Because again, I don't use a sponge near this at all. And then with that little bit, sometimes I'll just stab it in there. And I'll bring back my scissor again just to trim off where it didn't make it. Okay. And again, to protect the paper, I use my knife to put the glue. Sometimes a pencil is your best friend to cover a little area like that. Then what I do is I take my smoother and a sharp blade. Again with the scissor, don't pull it. And that's perfect. All right, that's cut number 1. All right, this one we're coming off the window and into the corner, but I knew this was a level line coming off this one, so I'm going to use this part. And just tuck that in real close. I'm going to use my scissor for the relief cut. To there. Pull it back. Then I'll flatten it out a little bit because it does have that little bit of that type of trim that requires another cut here. Another relief cut right there. Let me fold the bottom out. Take my smoother. Push it right into the corner. Across the top. Bring it down. I use my finger to push it in just to make sure I don't want to rip it. And just bring it down. All right, so this is like the header. I think it's about 20, I cut 27 inches off. Which, again, leaving myself some room to trim at the top and at the top of the doorway. Smooth it down. I use my hands to push it in a lot. Nice and gentle. You don't want to squeeze any of that adhesive out. Some people like to prime their walls the color of the paper. I don't. I haven't seen a problem with it since or ever. And but we did put a clear shields on the walls before. All right, so this is where I'm actually going to end the room over that front door. But the grass that's 36 wide, I've reduced each of these to 27, and I'm going to do a double cut in the middle. This, putting a little extra adhesive under it. And I'm taking my cutting strip here. I'm going to put it behind the piece. Just enough. Then I'll take the brush again, just to get some adhesive on it. Okay. And I'll smooth that down. Find my seam. Bring it up. Push it in a little bit. And now you can see how I've overlapped it some. Push it in to get a better look on that. Not a loose thread. Anyway, I'll come up to the top, right across. Get a new blade. Trim the bottom. Take off that one. Pull off that one. I'm just going to trim it. I'm going to leave that other tape under there because that's protecting that a bit. Get a fresh blade now. Now I'm going to be cutting through both this piece of grass cloth and this piece, right in between, and there's that protector in between the cutting strip. So you can put pretty good pressure on this to make sure that you're cutting through both. So I start up at the top, stab my razor in, come right down. Coming down straight as I can. Okay. Use my scissor. Get the pieces that I didn't get. Got that one. Now I'm going to take the tape off that side and at the top. Okay. And I'm also going to remove the piece that I just cut. I'll probably need my scissor at the bottom. Whoop. Make sure that isn't going anywhere. There. And possibly at the top. Nope, that was good. And then I'm going to open this up completely and pull out that strip. Then I'll put this one back. My hand's got a little on there. This one I'll just fold over. Push it up to the top. Bring it over this one. Now, that's a perfect seam. And I'll take my roller just very lightly. I don't like to use rollers on grass. Just a little.